G'day guys, Socket here. Today's video is a small extract from the Speaker Specs What Does It Mean tutorial, just so you can find this topic if you're looking for it without having to sort of trawl through the whole main video. So today's extract is all about speaker suspension, or CMS. Okay, next we're going to take a look at the speaker suspension, and the suspension is made up of the surround and the spider, and together they act like the shock absorbers in a car or the springs on the trampoline. They allow the cone and the voice coil to move freely back and forward while making sure it stays centered and aligned with the magnetic gap, right? So the suspension along with the drive motor controls how the speaker responds, especially around the resonant frequency, but we'll talk about the resonant frequency a little bit later. When we talk about suspension, we use the term suspension mechanical compliance, or shorthand is CMS. Now, compliance, it's a bit of a weird way of thinking about, because often when you think about suspension, you naturally think about, oh, well, how stiff is the speaker? But the word compliance means how compliant the suspension is, or how compliant the speaker is. You know, how much or how easily does it give or move when force is applied. So speakers with a high CMF are not stiff. That means that they are highly compliant or easier to move, so they're softer, right? A lower CMS doesn't mean that it's softer. It means that it is less compliant, it is stiffer and harder to move. So it feels a bit weird talking about it that way. To me, it feels kind of backwards, but you know, that's the way it kind of is. But there just happens to be a term for stiffness. That's called the suspension mechanical stiffness parameter, and that has the shorthand KMS. It's basically the inverse of CMS. A high KMS means it's stiff, a low KMS means it's soft. But you know, you generally don't find KMS on the technical data sheets. You tend to find, you know, CMS. Okay, well, this is the formula for CMS. It's related to the resonant frequency and the moving mass of a speaker, and we'll come back to resonant frequency and how CMS and moving mass are related to it later. But what I want to do is explain how this speaker compliance stiffness thing kind of works. So here I have a diagram of a speaker in three different states or stages of its oscillation, right? And here in green is the motor, here in blue is this voice coil and the cone, in red is the surround and the spider, which is the suspension. And when nothing's happening, the suspension holds the cone in what we call its resting position, right? And so if you've got a speaker in the cupboard and you push on it, you know, it'll bounce up and down, but just sitting there, it'll just sit in kind of this midway point where, you know, everything's in equilibrium, right? There's springs not pulling on the cone or doing anything, it's just kind of sitting there, right? And this is the resting position of a speaker. Now, when we push the speaker forward, so the motor drives the voice coil forward, which pushes the cone forward, it will stretch the suspension of the speaker, right? Stretched out like a spring. It'll get to a point where the spring goes, okay, that's enough, and starts pulling the cone back towards its resting point, right? It naturally wants to pull because it's like a stretched spring, right? And then, of course, you'll pull the speaker back to its resting position, and of course it'll go past that point because the drive motor is pulling the voice coil down now, and once again the springs are being stretched but in the opposite direction, right? So there's this natural kind of competing or oscillating spring force that is being pulled in, you know, back and forward and back and forward and back and forward, right? And so yeah, the stiffness of the suspension will kind of affect how the speaker behaves. Because if you think about it, let's say we have really stiff springs, right? What that means is that it's going to be harder for the motor driver to push the cone. The springs are going to be pulling very hard on the cones, that means it won't extend, or the excursion of the cone will be less. And when the spring starts pulling on the cone, it's got to pull this back very quickly, right back to the resting position very quickly. So a stiff spring means that the cone is much tighter control over the cone. The cone, is going to stay nice and centered within the magnetic gap. And, it's not going to extend as far, right? Because you've got this very high spring force, working on the cone as it moves up and down. Now compare that to a soft spring, right? This is a soft spring now, and so these forces are much weaker, which means that it's easier to push the cone. The cone can extend further because the spring is a weaker spring, so you can push it further. When the spring pulls it back to its resting position, that's going to happen slower because the spring forces are less. But what that also means for the speaker is that the cone is less controlled, right? It takes less energy to move the cone back and forward. But so that's why the stiffness of the suspension is important, because it tells us how controlled and how the speaker will behave. So this is especially important when we're looking at mid-bass and subs. So if you think about a sub with a very stiff suspension, okay, it's going to be harder to move. You need more power, to get over the high spring forces, but the cone's going to stay in control. There's less chance of it going beyond its X max and getting out of becoming overextended. And you tend to find that the bass is going to be much tighter and punchier, right, with a sub with a stiff suspension, right? And those types of subs work really well in ported or sealed boxes. And it's why the SPL guys love stiff suspension subwoofers, because you can throw more power at them. The sub will stay more controlled, more centered centered on the in the magnetic gap, so they'll take more power, right? More power means more loudness, and that's why they like them. Compared to a soft suspension subwoofer, the cone's going to be easy to move. You need less power. You need a smaller motor. So sometimes, but because there's less control, the bass can become a little loose and boomy, because the cone can overhang, but it's also much easier to get deeper bass, right? Because the cone extends more, and it's slower to return, so you get longer wavelengths, right? Yeah. So these types of subwoofers are better suited to free air and infinite baffle. But you do need to make sure that if you've got a soft suspension sub and you're using it for sound quality, that you need a good strong motor and good dampening, or a high QTS, to compensate for the lack of control of the cone by the speaker suspension, right? Okay, so when we look at the CMS values for different speakers, or I'm just going to pick 6.5 mid-bass and 12-inch subs just as a category. Let's say you're going to pick a 6.5-inch mid-bass, and I'm going to put that in the doors in an enclosure, right, a custom box. Then you really want to look at a CMS of less than 0.3, because you want a stiff mid-bass in an enclosure, right? If you're going to put the mid-bass in the doors in the rings and vent it into the door void, then you want a pretty soft mid-bass, something with a CMS greater than 0.5. And the same applies for your subs. If you're going to put the sub in a box, you want and you're looking for SPL, then you probably want something that's less than 0.13. If you're going more for, I guess, SQ and deeper bass, then you kind of want a sub that is in free air, and you're looking at a CMS of 0.2 or greater. But these are just guides, just examples, right? So there you go, guys. I hope you found that interesting. If you want to know more, check out the full tutorial. I'll drop the link below in the comments. As always, if you have any questions, please put them down below. I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can. Otherwise, guys, I will catch you in the next episode.